Intercepts.
Paced back and forth a bunch of times, sweating, had my damn fist clenched, just dang staring at it, knowing it should be on my bumper, but I didn't do it. I didn't buy the piece. I said to myself, it ain't worth it, and I walked out.
Well, that is a gigantic step, and we're all proud of you. That's a great share. How about a hand for Wench? And, what did this very tempting bumper sticker say?
Well, it's hard to revisit it because it was such a perfect piece and I didn't purchase it, but it said, if you don't respect this flag, maybe you'll respect a javelin through the head.
Aren't flags just fun?
Javelin through the head? Where'd you find a sticker like that?
A shop near my route.
I see. And what happened the last time you had a sticker like that on your vehicle?
I don't know if I want to get into that.
Your story's been very powerful and very helpful for this group. I understand if you'd rather not drudge it up, but there's so much that can be learned from it. Remember, we're all trying to better express ourselves through means other than signage.
Language, not signage. Well, I had the piece of a lifetime and I stuck it on the back of my trailer, hauling front-end loaders, backhoes, bulldozers, big equipment. And it said, if you don't stand for this flag, I got a hole you can lay in.
Who doesn't stand for flags?
That is a once-in-a-lifetime piece, that's for sure.
And well, a car come up beside me and the people were waving and pointing and they just had that look about them, you know? So I know they were upset about the piece. I also had flags flying on each side of the trailer, so I know they're mad.
It sounds like a perfect trailer.
Typical friggin' idiots.
And so I start screaming at them, and they tell me to pull over, so we pull off, and I'm shaking this guy like a wet doll, and his wife is saying, the trailer, the trailer. And I'm saying, you don't like the piece I stick on my trailer? You don't like this country? Well, you can...
Only it wasn't about the sticker or the flags, was it?
No, they were telling me my load had come loose, and just as I was about to shake this guy's eyeballs out of his head, I look over and see a front-end loader roll off the trailer and coast right down toward the souvenir shop outside the monument.
Not the one with all the flags out front.
Not the flags.
That very one. And a hell of a collection of nice pieces inside. Mugs, hats, and t-shirts too. Well, I chased after that loader, tried to stop it, but it mowed down every single flag and the shop itself, destroyed everything.
This is the worst story I've ever heard.
Luckily, no one was hurt, but over $100,000 in damage, lost my job, 2 years of community service, and mandatory attendance at these groups.
Completely unfair. You had nothing to do with it. They should have arrested those idiots. They probably unhooked the loader.
If you'd have seen them, you'd know they didn't. Real asthmatic-looking book types, and a securement broke off the loader frame. No way they could have done that.
That's exactly what they'd want you to think. I can't stand book types. It sounds exactly like my family.
Now, let's all just do our breathing. Did everyone learn something from Wench's story? And the people, the man whose eyeballs you shook, they were only trying to help, weren't they?
They were. I just let my attachment to that piece get so intense that I failed to see anyone beyond who I expected them to be. And I expected they were my enemy.
I still think they did it.
Those poor flags.
That's enough, Sherman. As you may have noticed, we have a new member today, so let's try and keep it together. Flapsy, would you like to share?
Not really, but I guess I will. My sister wanted me to come here because even though she loves when I come over and play with my sweet niece and twirl flags and fly kites, she says I don't express myself in any other ways. And I don't have any meaningful relationships other than with my flags. And I think that's just silly. I just love flags.
Is your van the polka dot one with the flags all over it and the piece on the back that says I heart flags?
It is. I just love flags. Aren't they just fun?
That's a nice piece.
Thank you.
She has almost as many flags on her vehicle as you, Sherm.
Is yours the one with all the pretty flags that say Kwarch? They're gorgeous. I've never heard of Kwarch.
He's an American hero.
Do your flags also drive away your friends, family, and love interests?
Hey, go to hell, man.
Love interests? Humans? Ugh, I only like flags. I suppose if I wanted to, I could share my life with someone, but what's better than a flag?
Well, if I can make a connection here, I suppose I can see how each of you, perhaps, have attached more of your emotions to your flags than you have with actual relationships.
My flags are just how I express myself. Like right now. I feel like going out to my van and getting my cloud flag. Or my flag with a face that looks kind of like a frown. And then I'd twirl with them and feel better. And then I'd get my sunflower flag and twirl until I just couldn't take the happiness anymore. If you'll excuse me.
No, let's hang in here, if you don't mind. Be with these feelings for just a moment. And Sherman as well. His relationship to his Kwarch flags is similar to you and your flags.
I am not like this person.
It's driven everyone out of his life.
They've all lost their minds. Kwarch is the only sane person left.
Well, I suppose if I could right now, I'd hold up a flag that said, "Who is Kwarch?"
He's the greatest living person of all
A
time.
local politician who ran for a position that the state assembly created temporarily as we battle the water crisis.
Water Council chief of this area is literally the most important position in the world. We have a watershed, not to mention the underground aquifer, feeding a tri-state area that determines agriculture futures for half of the country. It's a big deal, and he was cheated out of it.
It was an in-person vote at the town community center. 15 people showed up, 13 of them raised their hands for Clem Stenson, and 2 more didn't vote. Kwarch got 0 votes.
They were all actors, fakes. He told us all about it. Some people raised both of their hands. It's illegal. It goes all the way to the highest levels, and you're a part of it.
Sherman, I'm not going to tell you again. I'm not a part of anything. I knew every single person there, all locals, people I grew up with. I volunteer to be here, and you are required to be here after dumping sodium benzolate into the town's water supply.
It was a brilliant idea and a cause I would gladly die for. We were simply putting truth serum into the water to flush out the traitors who sold their souls to vote for that crook Clem Stenson.
Isn't he the guy who saved all those kids from the orphanage fire? I have a flag of him. I twirl it when I'm not feeling brave.
It's all a scam. The fire was staged. Did you ever look at the photos? Ever notice how Clem had no soot on his face?
He was sweating quite a bit, so I suppose the soot didn't stick. His arms were burned pretty bad, and every single orphan thanked him and cried when he was driven away in the ambulance.
Just very good child actors, and he burned his own arms. It's a perfect cover.
Wow, this is a lot of information. Jeez, I may have to rethink my Clem Stenson flag, and I feel like I've seen this Kwarch guy before.
Oh, you probably saw him at the high school homecoming parade.
I was there. It's my favorite parade. And trust me, that's a hard thing to choose.
Well, Kwarch insisted that he have a float, and it was right after his daddy passed away and gave him $500 million. So he said he'd build the town a new library if they let him include his float with him on top of a bunch of his enemies.
He was on the top, his torso sticking out of a tank.
Even though he never served, this was also a week after a tank drove through a school.
And the banner above the float said, Daddy's little big boy.
I remember that. When is the new library going up?
Oh, it's not.
Typical town bureaucracy, that's why. And he should have won Best Float, but he was cheated yet again.
It was a high school homecoming parade, and he was 70 at the time.
Sherman, I know I've asked you this before, but he lost the vote.
Can't be proven.
Okay, hang on. Just say he did, and he has no background in water. He's never had a real job, cheats on all of his wives, only ever wears suits, can't grow facial hair, hates dogs.
Wears makeup and wigs.
He once called for all snakes to be executed and anyone in town who owned one to be exiled. And then they found the biggest herpetarium in the state in his backyard.
Completely made up story.
There's video of it.
I remember that story. It made me get my flag that has 2 bear cubs hugging on it just to feel comfy.
Then he said he'd show everyone his big water plan.
It was stolen by ghosts. Everyone is out to get him. He's the victim.
And when you poured the truth serum into the town's water supply, I guess my question is, when did you decide he was worth giving this much of yourself to?
Yeah, and did he help you out after you got arrested?
Well, no. He was too busy fighting a much bigger fight against the Dairy Commission.
He wanted to sue cows. Come on, man. Everyone knows he's lactose intolerant, and that made him too busy to help you out.
This makes me want to get my big velvet flag that I drape myself in when I'm nervous.
Sherman, now, just try. You've made some good progress in this group. Why this guy?
Yeah, I guess you bring up some good points. I suppose it just started when he said anyone who doesn't value water is an idiot. I liked that.
We all value water. We're humans. Impossible to live without it.
But he really means it. And I liked when he said anyone who stood in his way would be drowned, and that he'd get the Water Commission Board to pay for it.
Well, he sounds like he's got quite a vision.
And I like that he said when we controlled the water, we could get people to do anything we wanted. And, yeah, I just liked all of it. It all makes sense to me, and you're all crazy.
Don't do this, Sherman. I'll have to dock this meeting from your requirements.
It's the greatest movement to ever exist. He'll be the regional temporary water council chief if it's the last thing I ever do. You'll see, all of you phonies. We have to save this planet. You weird flag person. Would you like to come to a rally with me where there'll be more flags flying than you've ever dreamed of?
Yes, flags. Don't tease me with something you can't provide. I love flags.
Then follow me.
What about your sister? Your niece? Please stay!
Well, all right. Not bad. Better than last time. See you next week.
That you will. Nice work today. I'm proud of you for passing up on that piece.
To be honest, I bought it. But after tonight's little episode, I'm gonna return it. Gonna work on my language a little more.
And I'm gonna drive by Clem Stenson's house and make sure it's still standing.